Hello and welcome to Sports News Africa, the home of Africa's sporting conversation. Let's take a look at the headlines. CAF meets Cairo to discuss cancelling or relocating the AFCON Games. Racism is still rife in a country that's due to host the FIFA World Cup in 2018. And we'll take a look at the 2014 African Rally Championships that took place in Madagascar. Thank you for joining us. I'm Angela Agor. The Confederation of African Football met in Cairo today to decide on host Morocco's request to postpone the 2015 Africa Cup of Nations tournament because of the Ebola epidemic, possibly leading to its cancellation or relocation. Morocco is holding fast its request 2 months before the tournament is to kick off on January the 17th, but CAF insists it is not up to the host country. The Federation could impose a fine and suspension of Morocco's national team if it does not reconsider. In the meantime, CAF has scrambled to find another host country on short notice without any indication yet that any has been accepted. A decision by CAF is imminent. The deadly Ebola virus has killed nearly 5,000 people, mainly in West African countries of Sierra Leone, Liberia and Guinea. Well, irrespective of whether or not the AFCON tournament will go ahead, one country that is focused on getting its preparations in place is Uganda. The Cranes haven't qualified for the continental competition in 37 years, and their request to join Africa's elite is gathering pace. Uganda will be hoping to get wins in their last two games in Ghana and Guinea in Group E if they are to qualify.
Perhaps it was the presence of President Yoweri Museveni or the widely cheering home fans at the Mandela National Stadium, Nambole, that fired up Uganda Cranes to thrash Ethiopia's Walia Ibex 3-0 in an international friendly match on Saturday. Either way, the Cranes power to the much-needed victory and are in high spirits ahead of their must-win 2015 AFCON qualifiers against Ghana this weekend. Ethiopia ranks 111th, while Uganda stands at 84 on the FIFA ratings ladder. Ugandan striker Geoffrey Massa, who plays his trade in South Africa, put Uganda's hearts in their mouths when he missed a penalty at the stroke of halftime. But seconds later, he drilled in a goal from the resultant corner to the delight of fans. Although Ethiopia pulled all stops, goals from AS Vita striker Yunus Sentamu in the 48th minute and SC Vipers Farouk Mia in the 55th minute dampened their spirit until their final whistle. The Ethiopians are also preparing for a must-win away game against Algeria to remain in the fight for a 2015 AFCON berth. Cranes coach Milutin Sredojevic said the Cranes are determined to end their 37-year absence from AFCON finals.
It's meaning we are playing against a great team, one of the greatest African teams. We are having support of our supporters, and I think that today's game is a good invitation for our supporters to come and support us. It will be, and I want to call it epic clash, where we really want to get the best out of it and look forward to make dream that lasts for 37 years to qualify to Africa Cup of Nations.
Having suffered losses in 2 matches against Togo, Uganda, who started their AFCON campaign impressively, are looking to regain their form and secure wins in all their remaining matches.
The match is a good confidence boost going into the tie against Ghana. The Cranes needed it after losing their previous 2 games against Togo. Actually, one of the losses coming right here at Nambole. So the home crowd needed this victory, the team needed this victory to go into Ghana with some sort of confidence.
Maybe the guys are now realizing that we need to win the second games for us to qualify. We need to get those 6 points against Ghana and Guinea. So this was like a build-up match, of which they performed very, very well. I wish they would perform it like that on the next game on Saturday.
Both Geoffrey Massa and Yunus Sentamu have been shortlisted by CAF for the African Player of the Year award based in Africa category. Ghana tops Group E with 8 points, followed by Togo on 6. Uganda and Guinea have 4 apiece with 2 games left to play.
And Uganda will undoubtedly have been relieved to hear this next story. Ghana will be without key striker and captain Asamoah Gyan and Juventus midfielder Kwadwo Asamoah for the crucial Africa Cup of Nations ties against Uganda and Togo. Caretaker coach Maxwell Kanadu has announced a 23-man squad, but the 4-time African champions will be missing Gyan, who now plays in the United Arab Emirates, and Asamoah, who are both injured. The Black Stars top Group E with 8 points, with Togo on 6 and both Uganda and Guinea on 4. They take on Uganda in Kampala on Saturday before hosting Togo in Kumasi 4 days later. Former Chelsea manager Avram Grant was last week appointed full-time coach and may be in place for the final 2 qualifiers if the terms of his contract are settled. Welcome back to Sports News Africa. Russia will be hosting the FIFA World Cup in 2018, and the country continues its preparations to welcome 32 footballing nations and their accompanying fans. But racism continues to tarnish the country's profile as it battles on to get to grips with the issue. And the comments made in recent days by Russian side Rostov's manager Igor Gamula about African players will have only further aggrieved fans and anti-racism organizations. He did, however, apologize for his comments. Joining us on Sports News Africa is former South African defender Matthew Booth to talk about this. Matthew, having played at Rostov previously, do you see his comments as a surprise?
Well, in one way they don't surprise me. In another way they do, because after all, he is a public figure and he should know better than to say something as stupid as he did. Having lived in Rostov for 2 years and 4 years in Samara in Russia, having played 6 seasons in Russia, having an African or black African wife who stayed there with me, to be honest, we never had one single sort of racial incident or ugly incident. But not wanting to defend him, it's a very big country which has been isolated for a long time, and you are bound to get very ignorant and stupid people who say silly things. And unfortunately, this is one of the instances.
What is it like for black players to have to play under these conditions?
Oh, look, I think Rostov, like I said, is quite a diverse town, and it's actually one of the more sought-after cities to play in because of that fact. If you go to play in Moscow or St. Petersburg, it's a lot bigger. There are stronger racist elements in those cities. Players ultimately are mercenaries. They realize that conditions will be different as soon as they leave their homeland, wherever you go. There is, unfortunately, just like in the United States, which is supposed to be a civilized country, there are very strong racial elements still in the USA, So likewise in Russia, it's a very big country. You cannot generalize about it. But there are very ignorant people who remain racist, and that's something that players have to take into account when they do go there.
Finally, while you were playing, did any racist incidents happen, and did any of your black teammates confide in you?
Well, there was one incident, in my 6 years there, where one of our teammates walked off and the field, and we showed, to our team's credit, we showed solidarity and did the same thing. and joined him, but that was one incident in 6 seasons, So unfortunately, this kind of thing happens not only in Russia. You find it happening in the Serie A in Italy. And it's something which has really got to be stamped out. And I think football clubs have got to take more of a proactive role in educating their fans. It's done. CSKA themselves, who have a long history of racial abuse, have got star Black African players in their team as well. So like Musa Mohammed from Nigeria and Doumbia from Ivory Coast, who are starring for their team. So it confuses me. But ultimately, you're not really dealing with educated people, unfortunately.
Matthew Booth, thank you for joining us. Welcome back to Sports News Africa. Antananarivo hosted the 2014 African Rally Championships at the weekend, bringing together drivers from across the continent and onto the streets of the Madagascar capital. But despite a thrilling performance by home favourite Patrick Solofolerina taking the checkered flag, it was Gary Chains of the Ivory Coast who was the overall winner.
Top African rally drivers took to the dirt roads outside Madagascar's capital Antananarivo over the weekend for the 2014 African Rally Championships, where speed and driving skills were put to test. Cars whizzed through winding village roads, leaving behind huge clouds of dust, to the amusement and thrill of hundreds of fans who had lined up along the roads to catch a glimpse of the action. In their specially designed cars with unique abilities, the drivers pushed their machines to the limit, at times reaching over 228 kilometers per hour. At the end of the fierce race, Madagascar's Patrick Solofolerina took the checkered flag in his Mitsubishi Evo 10, winning in a remarkable timing of 2 hours 59 minutes and 43 seconds, but was placed third overall. However, after amassing 199 points overall, Gary Chains and his co-driver Romain Comas from Ivory Coast, who crossed the finish line in a disappointing 11th position, were crowned overall winners. They were the only registered ARC drivers besides Zambia's Mohamed Issa and Zimbabwe's Gareth Dawe. We have managed to be the overall winners of the race and are now the champions of Africa. There is no one happier today, and I think the return of the trophy to Ivory Coast is extraordinary. Mohamed Issa, who was navigated by Gareth Dawe, clocked 3 hours 5 minutes and 33 seconds to finish second overall with 188 points, but his performance fell short of landing him his second ARC title.
Staying with motorsports, and Samir Anwar has won Kenya's 2014 National Motocross MX125 Championship stages at Jamhuri Park Racetrack in Nairobi. And following the win, Anwar announced he was retiring from motorsport to swap his two-wheel racing career for kickboxing. In the MX1 category, Ivan Gia beat stiff competition to take first on the podium.
Kenya's Ivan Guya was this weekend crowned the Round 8 champion in the MX1 category of the Kenyan Motorcross Championships held in the capital, Nairobi. Guya cut the tape first, placing Samir Sharman in second place, while Raji Barji finished in third place. The MX1 category winner has had an impressive season and will be looking for just 4 points to win the championship title next month. He said navigating the track was a challenge, but managed to tackle it all the same.
The track was actually quite challenging today. It was very technical because there was many corners and it was really rough as well. So it was very tough on us riders, but I was able to still find my way through it and actually really have fun.
Guya said his toughest competition were the Ugandans, but was looking forward to beating them at the East African Championship next year to be held in Uganda.
Well, yeah, Uganda has competition as well. There's Maxime Van P and I know Asav and Arthur. So I'm really looking forward to the CAC event in December. Hopefully I can go there and represent Kenya well.
In the MX25 category, Ngugi wa Weru completed the final round of the race, just a few points ahead of the 2013 champion Samir Anwar. Elias Sherman took the MX85 category title, beating Ethan Nyachai and Orioba Malungu. Sherman said the new obstacles placed on the track give the race an extra edge.
Yeah, the course was good. It's quite different to what we're used to, and they've introduced a few new obstacles to the track.
Chris Wahome, the East Africa Vice Chair of the East Africa Motorsport Sports Club, said the event was a success.
The standards have improved significantly today. One of the most interesting things is we're getting a consistent crowd. A lot of riders are coming to motocross and they're appreciating what it's doing. And we are feeling we're going somewhere. And we feel that maybe in the next few years we'll be in the FIM out there in Europe, chasing after the rest of the world.
In other categories, Maina Wanjegi won the MX65, while Mikhail Berman was victorious in the Masters and Veterans class.
And before we go, David Moyes has returned to management as he has followed his disastrous 10-month spell as Manchester United manager. Moyes will manage Spanish La Liga side Real Sociedad. And that's the end of Sports News Africa for today. Join us again tomorrow when we bring you all the latest from Africa and around the world. Bye for now.